Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to the VHEL. We are here for our second to last week of the Spring 26 Overwatch season. Got the two top teams in the league right now. West Texas Kraken going up against the West High Vikings. Currently, West Texas Kraken undefeated on the season. They have a bye next week in the last week, so if they win tonight, they finish the season undefeated. West High here have a little couple losses in their past here, currently sitting at 4-1 on the standings. So had a tumble earlier on in the season, but still doing pretty good, still in second on the standings, looking to try and fight for that first slot here against West Texas Kraken as we get on in, and we have some interesting round one comps.
Overall, you gotta imagine West High is gonna be coming in with a big disadvantage, playing this DPS line against the Jetpack Cat, who's gonna have so much mobility in air, and with only lasers at your disposal, you're gonna be in a really tight spot. And so far, that is gonna be the case. They play aggressive and already secure themselves some nice central control over the point. With magically separated and put on isolation, they're gonna look for a flank route. However, the TP getting them this isolation onto the Pharah, early pickoff seems to be in the control.
And yeah, they do get the first pick here to you. It's a very aggressive push by the side of West High Vikings. We'll see if they can be recontrolled here by the West Texas Kraken. There goes Ghosty Boy as well. Magically, some nice control here on this D.Va. Again, one of the more meta characters in recent times here. The people who play it well definitely finding a lot of success right now. And it's a nice first fight for them. Very aggressive by the other side of West High. They didn't want to give away that early possession. As we do swap over here, it is going to be the D.Va mirror here. Again, some of these top tier teams looking to try and play a little bit more meta here. A couple variations, obviously. Don't expect to see that much Jetpack Cat or May in matchups like this, but definitely interesting to see the variations these teams go for. As we'll see the push, West High trying to go from inside the Freya. Lots of damage down. That Sea Serpent 22 already has Bola available. Is just going to throw it on here. Good bit of damage, split the tank away from the rest of the team here as D.Va walled off, but is able to back away here pretty quickly over to the supports, get healed back up. Self-destruct available for Magically as AJ12 taken to a shred of HP, but does get away back to safety for the moment here. As we'll see Kingsize try to stay on front. Lava Tank's cat goes down. Ghosty Boy, though, gets knocked off the map by the cat here. As Kitsune Rush going to go down here. Sharky going to get taken out here. Is able to stay alive with a swift step, but not for too long here. Again, do still have D.Va self-destruct, so they can keep playing this fight if they want to, but we'll wait and see what the Kraken want to do.
The healing needs to come out in all angles as everyone down to low HP lines, Tuyu and Ghosty, both gonna fall down. And this point control still getting maintained over for the WTX Kraken as they're gonna have full control and without anybody to really contest. That's a free point. You gotta give it up. And a little bit of an issue I'm kind of seeing is going to be that lack of ultimate utilization, and without forcing out something like the beat, you're just unable to capitalize against the DPS done. I'm a little bit concerned as well over that DPS line once more. I brought this up earlier and I'm going to continue to. With the amount of flying based characters you're going up against, WTX Kraken doesn't really seem to have any faults that need to be conquered.
Yeah, definitely would have expected to swap over to some level of hit scan, whether it's the Ombre, Sojourn, maybe even a Soldier would be fine here, but they are able to force the fight back here. They drop that beat, as you mentioned, and it does reward them with the point, but they don't really get a kill for it, and the Kraken here holding all 5 of their ultimates here. Bola shot going to be the last one up in a moment. Tag going to get the grab. Kingsize won't be taken off the map to lethal, as we'll see for the moment. Thrusters come out here. Not going to be able to get back across the gap, though. We'll get D-Mech here. Does use that self-destruct, but doesn't even have it there as Bola comes out. Will grab the baby D.Va out here. Photon Barrier trying to hold on for a little bit of safety, but it's not the deepest split into the point, so it's kind of hard to fight around, but it's going well for them still as the Barrage finds some nice value. That's 3 on the back for AJ12, and now it's just Lucio trying to hold on for his life here. He does go down. The flip will come through. Kingsize, though, on the D.Va does have that self-destruct, so will be able to go in and contest for a little bit of overtime, but doesn't look too great. They do swap to the Cassidy here, which I think will help West High in future rounds, but I'm not sure that it's going to save them much right now. SimTP gets them over here, but your tank has already died. It will be the self-destruct coming out now for Magically, but everyone's dead before it goes off. It is a team kill, and round 1 goes over to that team at the top of the standings, and West Texas Kraken take a 1-0 lead here on Lijiang.
You gotta imagine that that was a good start, and they're gonna be happy with it. The 38% conceded, only a small issue, but I really liked how it was played out. As they had the D.Va playing really aggressive, putting their face right into the head of the charge, And unfortunately for Charky, once that Sim TP came out, they were only left to isolate against Tranquility. However, the sustainability that does come from something like a Kiriko is just enough to be able to keep that D.Va preoccupied, and the rest of the team is able to devour that point control. As after that, they sent a team fight in, were able to get the kills and dealing the damage, but after that, it just seemed as if there was a little bit of lackluster team cohesion, right? King Size kind of isolated from the rest, no healing to be inputted towards them. You have to have your Kiriko with them when they're in that 1v3 position on top of the bridge, and that kind of just became a little bit of an issue where the tank easily falls down, nothing does really get replenished, and a nice barrage ends off round number 1.
Yeah, we'll see it here going on into this first point unlock. Does have control by the side of West Texas Kraken. We'll see if they actually get the cap off or if the Orisa comes in for a charge here. Kingside is going to go for the contest here. Magically stunned down to a wall. Fortify is coming out here from the tanks. West Texas Kraken just playing the high ground. All of their players here, they need Evan's Corner to start getting some value here on this Cassidy. Have to be finding some nice damage on these flyers, even if you can't kill them, but not going to find anything yet. 2U taken down here by the Pharah, so Tracer is going to be back in the spawn room here. There's Evan's Corner getting found again by the Pharah, and I don't know, if you have a character like this Cassidy, they just have to be getting kills on these flyers if you want to win these fights. So, well, I do think Tracer maybe could even be swapped over to another hit scan, because there are so many flyers here. You're playing against 3 characters who are going to be in the air the majority of fights here. I'm not necessarily too sure what they can do here other than wait for their DPS to find some kills.
This Charky is already putting in the healing. Somehow magically survives throughout the entirety of that fight, despite so many players preoccupied and narrow-minded shooting at them. And at this point, it's Charky and AJ12 especially, who are kind of that front head of the spear that's being put forth. As now going to try and play for the high ground on left side, dealing some good damage. However, Evan's Corner just going to concede the angle and head back towards the main spot.
As yeah, Bola comes down here, just holding on for the moment. Charky and Ghosty Boy both going to trade off the supports here. Kitsune Rush comes down the point, but again, look at the cast here. He's not able to find anything. He gets taken down by the Pharah here, playing up these stairs. Will be slammed down by the side of Magically. Counter slam from King Size. Will be able to buy a good bit of time here on the point. Magically goes down. AJ's dead. 2U does get killed out here on the Tracer, so could still have a world to fight here, but a nice boot by Ghosty Boy will lock it down. Sea Serpent for lethal here, as West Texas do lose control after 48% in their favor. Already up to 10 now for the opposition, as we do get the D.Va swap coming back out here for Magically. Still has his perks from the first round, so gonna be in a decent spot to get back into the fighting game here. Pharah finds an early kill on Evan's Corner. Late beat here. Kitsune comes out to try and make sure they can bleed through these HP bars after that beat runs out. Charky and AJ12 just staying stable on the high ground, firing down. Ghosty Boy chased by the D.Va. A full spawn does trade out the Freya, but King Size in a lot of danger here on point, getting rained at by 4 players, just spam shooting at him. Tranquility will jump over to try and get him, but he's left in the open area here. Barrage comes down, but he will get killed out of it, but unfortunately, even though they killed the Pharah, the rest of the team here is going to get taken out. 2U stalling the point just a little bit longer for West High here. Will actually get them the lead by a percent or 2, but they will lose progress here at around 50%, and it will be the side of the Kraken immediately passing it again.
And they work nicely. Sea Serpent's able to deal some damage early on within the fight, and after that, they take it all done and dusted. You look towards King Size, making a swap, and I do appreciate the swap especially, as the perk choices were interesting to say the least, and with the Jetpack Cat dropping in an ultimate, will be able to throw the King Size right off the map and secure another team fight before it even starts.
And yeah, it's just nicely done there by Lava Tank. He knows he has his ultimate. It's Jetpack Cat. He's at that max on that next bar, so already has 30% of that next ultimate available. So it says, why not? I'll take King Size, throw him off the map, and then we'll have a really nice fight win. So well done there. They'll be able to get stable again here on this point. 90% now, and they are on the verge of winning out Lijiang Tower. They have Bola and D.Va Bomb available for this fight here, as we'll see King Size moving on down onto the point. Has to pop that Nem form here to try and stay alive, but D.Va not going to get too much value out of the defense defense matrix here. Bola comes toward Lucio, but will miss him, so able to stay alive for a moment for Ghosty Boy getting tagged by the Drea take aims, but there's just not enough healing right now. They're too busy fighting these players on the side. Diva and Farah doing some good pressure. King Size gets dropped. There goes Lucio. Kiriko. Deadeye comes out. He's not going to find a head with it. Evans goes down to you, stalling the overtime here. Going to have to keep touching for a while, but isn't going to get anything meaningful, and there it goes. 2-0 for the West Texas Kraken here. Again, they've only lost 2 maps the entire season so far. One to the side of Centennial and one to the side of Central Union here. So we'll wait and see if West High can get something going later in the series, but for the moment, game 1 goes to them.
That's gotta be a really nice start to a series, right? You deal a little bit of damage on the red side, but it's easily recuperated. As we saw the bullet shots looking phenomenal from Sea Serpent, and I kind of initially expected Magically to be a real playmaker as well as Charky. Charky, especially due to their healing output as well as just their impact to be able to stay alive. However, towards the end, the player who really did start to come out and prove themselves as the MVP, in my mind, for at least game number 1, is going to be Sea Serpent, who was able to put forth so many triple kills, so many quadra kills. Overall, Sea Serpent just looked really, really dominant, and there wasn't really an answer to their play on the other side of West High. They were very preoccupied dealing with players like AJ12 on the Farah, who was dealing a lot of damage from Skies, especially when you look towards that second point when we went over to Control Tower. They never answered the kind of play AJ12 was making. They never sent their Tracer up towards high ground to try and get an easy pick off on them. Instead, they stayed towards low ground. They tried having Evans' corner being that kind of neutralizer. However, their pressure was not good enough, and that's not really a diss onto them. It's more so just that you know, it's that experience level that didn't really show, as you need that hit scan to have that support from your supports to be able to keep them alive. When you have a Farah just diving down, sending missiles time after time, it gets a little bit difficult to be able to poise yourself to take them down.
And as I say, yeah, West High definitely had an interesting season themselves. They started round 1 on their bye, then round 2 they went against Neo City Academy, who did FF their whole season, unfortunately. So the first 2 rounds of the season for West High were both basically bye rounds. They were then able to get a nice win over Lancaster. They took a 3-1 over Centennial. They then did unfortunately have that next loss. Actually, they had to FF to the side of AW Go, so I'm not too sure what happened there. Maybe some scheduling problems that led to them having to drop that match. So actually looking at it here, this is West High's potential first loss of the season, as well as, again, while they did FF that game, they didn't actually lose it in games of Overwatch. So something I hadn't noticed until just now. Pretty interesting. Both of these teams in game are still undefeated in the season here. Obviously some map losses for both of them, especially now, but we'll have to wait and see how it goes here as we move on to our second map of the series. And it's hybrid. I was going to mention the map pool to you, Cherry, and see where you thought we would go, but unfortunately, because of the map pool being hybrid and Kings Row being an option, there aren't too many other places that we can ever expect to see, as that is going to be the pick here.
I think there's a much better chance for West High to be able to make something happen on Kings Row. You're going to get that May opportunity to bring that back into play. And if you send in something like a May Cassidy, that might be your best bet to take down WTX Kraken, who definitely is going to opt for AJ12 to stick on something like the Pharah, one would have to imagine. However, with a more open sightline compared to what we saw in game number 1, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to pilot such a versatile character. So WTX Kraken, what's the changeup going to be? They take out AJ12. Now that your Pharah player is off the board, it kind of begs the question, what is this DPS line going to look like? You already do have that signature player of Sea Serpent taking on as your kind of hit scan-esque player. I mean, obviously there's a bit of variety between how that's going to work, but overall, do you want to try and play towards the current meta, right? Drop in something that might work a little bit better, like a Vendetta, to stay aggressive, stay close up, not give your opponents any space to work with? Or are you going to go with something that might be a little bit more towards your strengths, in which that is going to be that poke comp that they were running before? Maybe put them on the Farah, maybe put them on the Echo, something that has a little bit of mobility in terms of taking some vertical high ground. We'll have to wait and see, but as we are going to get right into the game, it is going to be this defense side of the West High Vikings to try and, hold off. A little bit concerned on how that's going to go, but we will just have to wait and see.
And yeah, again, I took a peek at the profiles here. Both these DPS here for the side of the Kraken, actually both kind of hit scan players. Most of their match history and ranked games are on hit scan-esque characters. A few characters not in those range of grains, of course. Saw a little bit of Reaper on one of the profiles, so definitely a few possibilities, but especially magically their tank doesn't seem to play too much Zarya, so definitely wouldn't expect them to be on that Zarya Vendetta comp, although definitely still possible, but we do see it here. It is going to be Domina, Freya, and then Dr. K is starting on the Widowmaker, but it's King's Row attack, so I wouldn't put too much weight on that staying around for the long term. But the defense here, Ramatra, Sojourn, and interestingly, Symmetra here, probably really expecting it to be something like that Diva, and then they do have the Wu Yang and Kiriko as well, but we see the rest of the comp here, Kiriko, and Cat coming out for Kraken, so really just a game now, waiting to see what Dr. K changes to. Definitely wouldn't surprise me if they go to something like the Ombre against this comp.
I'm very surprised. The Dominia coming on in. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is like one of the best tanks in the game currently. Not obviously in North America or Europe, but I'm pretty sure we've been seeing a lot of this in OWCS Korea. So I am really it's a happy surprise for me to see these teams looking to try and pilot such difficult characters and make them work. But I mean, so far it seems like it's going to be working great for them. The shield taking so much tertiary pressure, and with the aggression already kind of being seized, they're going to try and maintain their way on point, but the healing output starting to get lowered and magically put between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that Domina, again, obviously has taken a lot of nerfs since the original release, but still a very strong character, very complicated to play correctly with your team, but obviously West Texas Kraken, a team that very heavily agrees and believes in their skill here, currently undefeated, of course, gonna have to believe in yourself to get to this point, as they do have the second tick of this first capture here. It's just not the quickest response of all times here, as the CTU able to take down Dr. K, so they do get that second tick, but it does look like they'll get fought off for the moment here. Domina on the retreat, other players up on the high ground, just trying to stay alive here. Sea Serpent hiding out in the inside is going to get ran at here by the Ramatra. Jumps up to the high ground and will do some nice movement here to get back over to the JPC and get a little bit of healing. As Domina once again pressuring the point. Kingside's going to jump on down, has an M-form to work with here in a moment, so should be able to stay alive. Wu Yang trying to run that wave through. Kingsize gets double tagged, but a nice Suzu here, able to keep them alive. Kitsune Rush comes down, and Kingsize just sprinting it into this fight here, magically taking a lot of damage, but has the shield, has their own healers to keep them alive. But Evans finds Dr. K and Lava Tank right when their Kitsune comes out, so really nicely done by this Sojourn now to basically shut down that entire Kiriko ult despite not shooting at anybody in it. Kingsize goes for 1 and 2. Sharky finds the retrade onto 2U, but again, not that impactful here. Really nicely done, as we do get a call for a pause here from the side of the Kraken, potentially a hardware issue. Obviously, we'll wait and see exactly what the cause of that is, but right now, it's a really respectable defense from West High.
I like this game so far. I mean, West High, in terms of compositions, I like there's a lot more in just like the current range we're looking at. I'd imagine this is going to be that high plat to mid diamond average rank. Obviously, you're going to get players above that, players below that, but I'm just kind of going based off of what I've seen at kind of the scholastic level that we are seeing now. And I mean, overall, what we're seeing from this defense is really, really good, right? You have 2U who's playing that Symmetra, forcing their opponents to target them. If you don't target a Symmetra in this kind of composition, you're kind of, shooting yourself in the foot, as this is like a heavy Symmetra comp that's going to be relying on them to charge up beam, target your Dominia, and after that, you're just going down. Beyond that, something that is a really big note here is going to be the support comp, right? Having Ghosty Boy on this Wu Yang is like, it's just so good. It's just so good because everyone on your opponent's team is going to look to play together, right? Maybe you'll have your Cassidy take an off angle. Maybe you'll have your Lava Tank on the Jetpack Cat holding someone in air, whether or not a Sea Serpent or someone else. But overall, the majority of this team is going to be playing in a close combat situation. When you have somebody with as much CC as you're going to get from Ghosty Boy, that just extra damage being piled on consistently is going to be way too much to easily deal with, as well as Kingsize, who's just playing Ramatra. And I am a heavy believer in Ramatra being the best tank, unless you are like Grandmaster 1 or above. So overall, loving the current comp West High is running. I think it's really, really strong, and a lot of teams that maybe not as used to playing at that high level where you're going to be like scrimming every day, looking for like these GM high master teams, like a comp that relies heavily on a Ramatra plus a Symmetra is just going to be so hard to deal with. So on the other side, I think it's very good. I think it's very good. Lava Tank on this Jetpack Cat especially is going to be a massive, massive like play, especially due to the fact that your opponents don't really have the hit scan necessary to take them down easily. But the issue of this is we haven't really seen them kind of taking advantage of this. I want to see Dr. K sent flying up above the rest of the entire lobby and just able to shoot them down from the opposing tower right behind the point. I think if they can get behind the point, send this Dr. K onto a nice position, and then maybe have the Kiriko TP up to them, that could be a really nice position to take, as it's going to force somebody like Ghosty Boy to start spending more time and utility to be able to knock them out of the angle, as well as it's going to rely on the other players as well to have to deal with multiple different angles they're going to be dealing with. So overall, I think there's a really good chance that like either of these comps can prevail, but I do like them both. Just on paper, I think at this Plat to Diamond average skill level, this side of West High has a little bit of a nicer composition to run through this.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting. As we were going through this, I took a second to go through all of the players here. I think 7 of the players here are diamonds, 2 of the players are masters, and then magically the tank here for West Texas actually peaked in top 500 tank this
Oh,
season.
so
So
okay, so it is even higher.
definitely
Oh
some
man.
very high. I say again, these are the 2 best teams in the league, at least in terms of a performance so far. Neither of them having lost and played game, but yeah, most of the players here are in that mid diamond, some high diamond, some low diamond, of course, kind of bouncing around, but then you have a few people who are in Masters or peaked in Masters this season, and then again, magically, currently Masters are a GM1 top 500 peak this season, getting to 492 on the tank ladder. So definitely some very, very solid players in this lobby. But I do definitely agree with a lot of the points you're making, right? Ramatra, I'm a Ramatra player myself, and I think he's relatively simple, right? A lot more macro intensive than micro intensive. Have to be making those decisions, but definitely can have a good chance of doing that, especially on this defense. You're playing against a character like Domina, who's trying to hold a shield in front of you the whole time, so definitely having a character who can try and break through that shield or either completely ignore it or whatever the situation is definitely nice to see. But we'll wait and see what's going on here. We do get a check here to make sure something is being progressed during this pause and we aren't just taking a little bit of a break for fun, but we'll obviously wait and see. We'll get some updates here, as I do expect, obviously it is King's Row, we do typically see this first point taken, so we'll wait and see if we do get an update. It is some headset issues here for some of our players, so we're going to obviously give them a little bit of time to get that fixed up. But while we do that, at this point, I think we may as well go to a break. We have no ETA on exactly when we'll be back, so obviously, hopefully won't be too long. Could be back in less than a minute, could be back in a few. Apologies again for the delay. We'll be back in a few minutes with the continuation of map 2. Alrighty, we're back. Apologies for the delay here. Getting back straight into this fight here as we already see Magically trying to chase Kingsize off the point. Again, they've been trying to force this fight. Here we go. Kingsize gets that title surge running straight into the back line, but Fury jumps out. Freya jumps over as Kingsize in a lot of danger now. Deadeye comes out. Cat Deadeye here trying to get a bit of a combo here. Not sure where we're sending him. Kingsize will go down. The Photon Barrier can't save him. Point is officially captured as well. Dr. K finds 2U here as the Kiriko trying to stay alive here is going to take down Dr. K with the aid of the Symmetra turrets, but Kiriko stuck in the wrong side of the map here. As we'll see them actually find a kill on the cat here. It doesn't mean too much, truthfully, as Tranquility should just get taken out. There they go. They do get the kill. As interestingly, Charky right now running extremely far ahead solo. He's past the bar here, trying to buy a little bit of space, but in the 1v5, we'll just back away to safety here as Dr. K going to be the one interestingly set on the point. I feel like you'd rather have the cat or the Kiri, but no, cat's going to be set on cart duty.
Yeah, you can imagine that realistically the Cassidy is going to be one of the less impactful players in their opinion. Maybe saying, yeah, we need our cat in order to be able to get Magically back if necessary. We're going to need our Evan's Corner to be sitting an angle to try and get some tertiary damage dealt. And Lava Tank playing really aggressive. This could be nice if they're able to ult somebody into the backline, especially maybe like one of the supports such as Ghosty Boy. As Dr. K finds that first, it's going to be an early fight win potential.
Yeah, that Tracer just very deep on the back line there is going to get taken down by the Cassidy. As you see the Freya Bola shot come out, does find a kill on Ghosty Boy. Nicely done by Sea Serpent here, as we'll see the cart continuously push here, passing the bar now. Dr. K entering these final two corners with the objective here. As the rest of the team holding down this first corner onto the final capture point. Kingsize charging forward, Kitsune rushes coming out here. They'll be overlaid on top of each other. Kingsize getting chased down here to block and keep him alive for a moment longer, but unfortunately he is going to get picked up and taken down. It's 1-2-3 for Domina, as there is a Tracer on the backside here trying to fight with the supports to contest that card just a little bit longer, burn a little bit of time here. I'm not sure that this Tracer pick is the best here for 2U. Just been throwing himself at the cart the past few lives here, but we'll see if they change for this third point. I definitely think they should. And they go back to the Symmetra, an interesting option. Kingsize himself just going to be on this Dominant now, trying to play the mirror as the cat goes down, misses the ultimate for Lava Tank, but not going to matter too much. Sea Serpent finds the damage forward, able to get the kill here as they do swap out. Charky now going to be the player on cart here. The Cassidy moved up to the high ground to keep pressuring up on these off angles. Kingsize swaps over to the Diva here. Not sure how well this will work into Magically's Dominant here. Maybe expecting something like an Arisa. Can't really full swap to the Zarya Vendetta, but not necessarily the pick I'd have gone to, but definitely playable here on the King's Row third point. We'll see if the team can make it happen here. Sojourn and Wu Yang do both have their ultimates as well, as Genji coming up to contest the high ground and a flying Cassidy ult looking for the backline.
Already 2 minutes and 40 remaining, as there's the Dr. K to send the first, and Dr. K!
There we go.
Oh my god! Well, there's a triple kill and taking down the Diva mech with one of them. So, and 2, you can go to make the touch. A nice cleanse, try and give them some kind of opportunity, but that opportunity will not exist. 2 minutes and 24 seconds, not the most dominant you're going to get on the King's Row, but it certainly is going to be a very tall task for this West High squad to be able to tie it. So we're going to go on to the second half, see if the Vikings can go into overtime or whether or not series points will be found early on.
Yeah, we do get another pause here. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. I'm hoping we have our issues fixed up, but we'll wait and see here, obviously, after this delay. But definitely will be interesting to see the comp now from the side of West High. I did like their first defense there, but obviously once they got into that escort section, it basically was a non-stop movement train there for the side of the Kraken here. As we do get a check here again, just trying to figure out exactly what is happening here with these tech pauses. As at least it's during the break this time, as opposed to right before a fight here. Ghosty Boy gonna get a reset on their computer here, as we're trying to figure out exactly what is going on for the moment, but obviously not gonna be the biggest problem of all time here. We'll let the players get fixed up and then we'll get back into the second half of the map here. But what do you think here? What comp do West High need to run to try and take this point? You think it's just back to the Ramatra, or what are you looking for here?
One would have to imagine that the Ramatra would likely be the pickup. If they want to try and run meta, you could try and make a Zarya work. However, I think that you might be asking for a lot in that case if you're not too familiar with the character. However, you look towards, like what the highest level play is looking like. A lot of teams are starting to really get into that cemented Zarya meta, saying this is exactly what we're going to want to run. We're comboing it with a Vendetta, making people respect the space, gaining energy early, and that's kind of been the play. But I do think the Ramatra works really well, especially into the Dominia, which we have been seeing. Overall, the armor pierce is really, really nice, right? Being able to pierce through shields is a deadly ability that Ramatra does get within their Nemesis form that's been really, really crucial for them to be able to pick up space and pick up speed on their attacks. But overall, the thing that I'd like to be seeing changed is just going to be their positioning. So far, they haven't really been taking too much towards the high ground. They play very, I guess, like cautiously and sending themselves on point, not looking to concede it at all times. On the other side, it's a lot better, in my opinion. I think that when you kind of look towards how the WTX Kraken has been playing out this game, they're really, really micro-heavy. As a team, they're consistently going for these high ground plays, which has been working phenomenally for them. You look towards the composition, it really is just that 2024 comp. You got that Genji with these, oh my god, Sojourn, as well as the Lucio Curie. Lucio Curie, never not going to be meta, by all means, really, really good comp. But beyond that, it is just screaming to me 2024. On the other side, very much that new generation, I guess. You got 3 of the newest characters within the game, including one that maybe not so much in that category anymore. Sea Serpent, though, really, really good on it overall. And so then, beyond that, I'm a little bit concerned over how this defense, or not defense, this offense is going to look, as they're dealing with a really, really coke-heavy comp, especially when you consider the tank, the DPS line, the support. Everyone is just going to have that ability to deal hefty amounts of damage early on.
And yeah, magically here, just sprinting at the back line, finds both supports with the aid of Dr. K. Evan's corner added to that death pile as Genji and D.Va here in a bit of a pickle now, trying to figure out what to do here, as it will be the D.Va thrusters trying to get back to the choke point. King Size, though, if he gets demeched here, going to be in a bit of danger here, but he will be able to get back to safety. Unfortunately, 2U finds no such fortune. He will get picked up by the Freya here. And we'll see King Size head back into the spawn, healed back up with the base. Actually, maybe looking at a swap here. Indeed, Ramatra going to be the move now for the side of King Size. As we'll see Evan's corner over to the Mei here, trying to get something to help pick off magically. I don't hate the idea here. 2U over to the Symmetra as well. A full comp swap coming out. I'm not too sure what I think about the Ramatra Mei Symmetra, but we'll wait and see if it ends up working out for them here. Freya, though, doing some really nice work here. Sea Serpent just sitting on this top high ground, getting so much harassment onto the other DPS on the opposite team. King Size chunked low here again. Domina holding a really nice job on this front side, is magically moving forward here. Triple shove off, trying to find 2U there, but didn't quite have the damage for lethal. But there we go. Sea Serpent indeed does. May have to go into Cryo. Ramatra holding the high ground, and that is a cat eye here. We do find one for Dr. K. Sea Serpent finds King Size. There goes Evan's corner, and Kiriko not going to last much longer. Team kill comes out. 2.5 minutes on the clock here, and West High going to need to figure something out here. They haven't even gotten on the point once.
Overall, the Mei with the Ramatra makes a lot of sense on paper. However, when actually put into play, you gotta ask the question of who's even gonna be the target you're looking to isolate with Maywall. Seems like magically is gonna be the one they're going to adopt and take down. However, the problem with that is just the amount of utility that you get to sustain yourself. Gonna leave the entire team packing their bags and sent back to the spawn.
Yeah, I just don't know for a counter swap that it was the way to go. But again, still 2 minutes here to try and find it. All you need to win this first point is one good Maywall, get one kill on someone like magically, and you are going to be able to run through that to get this first capture. But need to find it here. About 90 seconds just over left on the clock for the round here. Obviously, the Kraken looking forward as here we go. Wall onto magically. Cat goes over, Freya goes over, and again, there's so much instant support here to work past this wall. Kitsune Rush not going to find itself onto the point, so the rest of the Kraken here just going to full retreat here. Sea Serpent could be in danger of Dom trying to help hold on here, but Sea Serpent will go down on Nimform, finds it, the Maywall holding these players onto the point for the moment here, but see the progress started here, trying to get to this first pick for the side of West High Vikings. Kingsize just going to march onto the point here, trying to stay stable and safe while getting this first pick here behind this toll booth, or this phone, as we'll see magically get hit by the Blizzard here. Evans Corner traded out, but everybody able to be pulled out of it. Annihilation comes down, Kingsize trying to force this fight. Evans Corner dead, Dr. K Lava Tank traded out for Domina, being chased down now magically, should get dropped here shortly. Wait and see here, doing a great job staying alive. 2U goes down now, Kingsize out of the Annihilation. Sharky doing a great job keeping him alive here. Bola shot comes down, Tranquility blows up to it, and really nice work here by the 3 remaining Kraken here. Magically able to kite away from the Annihilation, forces it to end. Sharky keeps him alive while he does so, and Sea Serpent does what he's been doing the whole day so far, and that is a truckload of damage. 12,000 right now behind his own tank, who leads the lobby by a few grand here. And we'll see ults coming out here. Opticon, Kitsune, and Deadeye come out. 1 and 2 for the Deadeye, 1 for the Opticon, 1 for Magically, and Dr. K finishes the team kill. 10 seconds left on the clock, and the Kraken are just spawn camping here. It is a game of seconds now as Mauga swap comes out. They are just stomping at the point. Cat slams down to you, and Lucio try to make it to the point, and Lucio an inch too short to trigger overtime, and the Kraken sweep Lijiang Tower, sweep Kings Row, 5-0 on objectives right now, as we'll wait and see how the third map goes as we get our play of the game.
That was not great. I think at the end they had a little bit of just that error of what are we even gonna do? How are we getting past the Dominia? And overall, you were just dealing with just so much firepower. And it's not even one person. It's not even one person. WTX Kraken just looks good on all cylinders. We had Sharky, who made some phenomenal saves with the Suzu, especially when the Blizzard came through and they had their tank magically just in a really rough spot. It was Sharky who was able to cleanse them, get them back underway, put the shield down, give them a bit of space to work with, give them a cushion to get that HP back. And then overall, I think the one thing I'd like to see a little bit more from West High is just going to be that change up in terms of their targeting. They're going for magically a little bit more than I would have initially liked. I think that in general, you got to be more so pressuring the support line, and especially this Kiriko. Yes, Kiriko has a lot of survivability, and traditionally that's not the player you're going to want to target, as they do have the teleport, they do have the instant get full health back button, but you gotta have some kind of chance to be able to put them into a bit of a precarious situation where it's awkward to try and heal their teammates. And instead, we just kind of saw Sharky being able to heal consistently without a whole lot of pressure being applied. So West High, what that change-up is going to look like, I'm not sure. But it does seem as if Atlas is going to be the next map to go to. Going over to Flashpoint, this probably will be the best chance West High is going to get, as this is going to favor something like that Symmetra if they do want to try and force that from 2U, as well as the Ramatra is going to play nicely into a map like this. So Kingsize might have a little bit more chances, but it does seem as if we're going to be going straight on into the action. No break this time. We're going right on to map number 3.
And yeah, Atlas here, definitely an interesting map to see, as we do have a couple of new players as well here for the West High side. Obviously, AJ coming back in, but do have Buddyless and Tranquility in for this game. So definitely interested to see what we have. I'm noticing Buddyless here, a Vendetta player, which is a very strong character in the meta, but not one that we've seen much of today here. Tranquility as well, obviously expected on that Kiriko here once again, but we'll wait and see exactly what the comp is going to be for West High. This Zarya Vendetta is one comp that in the meta we have not seen. We've seen basically all of the meta tanks today and various comps based around them, except for that key Zarya Vendetta comp, but not going to be what we get quite yet here. It is just going to be a little bit of a brawl here. JQ, Genji, Tracer was the hover with Kiri Lucio, definitely looking a little bit back, taken away into this Kiri Lucio meta, which again has been very dominant in these recent support times, just with a little bit of brawl touch, as we'll wait and see the other side looking pretty similar here. Basically actually fully exact mirrors right now. We'll see what Sea Serpent and 2U swap to. If they're both onto Tracer, could have a full mirror, but definitely wouldn't be surprised if we get Sojourn as well. But we'll wait and see what the swaps are. Assuming they do swap, is it's Reaper for the side of the Kraken and 2U over to the Tracer once again.
already. Then right back on in. King Size already entering heavy with commanding shout from both sides getting expended. Really nice axe to start to apply some pressure, but Suzu does get pulled on out. This bleeding might be crucial as the damage dealt. Sharky already down magically on the cusp, and both tanks getting forced offline. Seems like the WTX Kraken might have a bit of problematic spots to be seen. However, Sea Serpents showcasing their prevalence, showcasing their dominance with a double kill. Both Tranquility and Buddyless going to fall to their shotguns, as that'll give the point on over.
Yeah, definitely nice here to get this first cap for the side of the Kraken, who again try to push on. They're down 2 maps the whole season so far, having played all of their matchups except, of course, the bye next week and the 1 FF win, which I guess technically is still just a 3-0 in the books. But we'll see 2U here re-engage over toward Sharky for the moment here, but will be the JQ charging forward now magically. Adrench out himself as 2U trying to flip the point here, flashpoint, so definitely not bad to get a point flip, but he'll be contested by the Lucio as the rest of the team will go to safety here. Wraithform force from Sea Serpent, who again haven't seen too much off the Freya too much today, but is going to be on the Reaper here, doing a good job so far as the JQ goes very aggro. Rampage finds 3, but the Blossom, Sea Serpent finds both supports here. Really nice trigger pull there as AJ takes the Genji mirror, Lava Tank finds the Tracer, and then Sea Serpent gets the final tag on King Size here. Team kill comes out at the cost of just the Death Blossom here. Really nicely done again for the Kraken here. 80% to nothing now, as again, no ultimates available right now for the side of West High, having just used that Rampage, and they're getting forced away here. Rampage comes out now for Magically, maybe a little bit aggressive, but they want to try and make sure to force this fight positive early here to get that first point. There goes the supports, there goes Genji, JQ on point, gonna go down, and the Tracer, unfortunately, not much better luck here as the first point goes to the Kraken.
Sea Serpent on the Reaper has been looking flawless. As soon as the Rampage came out, was able to tag 3 players. The response instantaneously from Sea Serpent to just collect so many with the Death Blossom, and a refight instantaneously pulled. It really was just not set up correctly. At this point, though, it seems like we're going to be getting another early point control as 2 players from the West High already down, and the Vikings gonna need to really open up that playbook as they are certainly gonna have a difficult time. You got both support ults up for the Kraken, and there's a pause to try and figure out what to change because they know this one's gonna be a difficult matchup.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, it has to be a technical issue again here, as 2U gonna get the disconnect, reconnect into the lobby here, which definitely not great for them. But again, we'll have to wait and see what the side of the Vikings want to do, as 2U joining the lobby here. Again, a lot of tech issues this set, but obviously it is what it is here. And we'll get 2U back in the lobby, and we'll get unpaused here, heading right back into the games. I assume we'll see 2U just back on that Tracer here, but yeah, unfortunately does lose the perks and the ult charge here. Definitely a bit of an unfortunate factor, but we'll get them back on here, back onto the Tracer, back onto the farm. His first cap to the second point goes over to the Kraken. Blade comes out for Genji here. AJ able to take down Ghosty Boy is the point, trying to get flipped here, but it is going to be a chase backwards here to Blade, and only going to find the 1 here onto the Lucio, but missing a support. Definitely a key takedown there to you, trying to find some value here, but unfortunately it's just a bit of chip onto Sharky. Buddyless does get the finish, but it will be 2U getting followed up after in the fight. Not real even after the death of Sharky here, so will just be again the point held by the side of the Kraken here. 3 ultimates available for them as well, including both support ults and that Blossom just now coming back up, and we see 60% for them now.
I'm just realizing that it still shows us on the "We will be right back" screen. Not great. Hopefully we can get that one settled and taken care of, and that is gonna be another team fight. There we go, everyone, and we got the rush coming in. AJ dealing the damage, swapping from getting taken out last game, put back on in for game number 3, and it already seems like match and series point might be on the line, but not just yet. King Size gonna deal the damage, hit him with the extra healing, putting him in the grave 6 feet under. King Size pulls off a double, make it a triple kill associated by Ghosty Boy.
And yeah, it's a nice retake there for West High. Obviously, this point's still far from 1 for them, but at the very least, it's not lost quite yet there. I do think that we probably should see some more ults by the side of the Kraken there. You have your beat, you have your Kitsune. I definitely think at least one of those should get used in that fight, but they hold on to them here. They're just going to probably use them now for the retake, which at the end of the day, it doesn't matter that much here. Maybe just a little bit of a negative in terms of farming some other ults, but here we go. Kitsune comes down. Ghosty Boy, expect that defensive beat used up here in a moment. And then obviously Lava Tank has that counter beat. Kingsize, though, fighting on point and just gets taken down. A little bit of dissonance here. Then Lucio has ultimate, but JQ just stays on point. A little bit, again, disjointed, as we'll see the Reaper trying to chase down Ghosty Boy here, as they will lose the second point now. The Serpent here does have to get a little bit of support here as soon as he comes down, as will be the beat now. It's just going to hit a few here on this attempted point defense, but counter beat comes out, not too big of a problem. The JQ almost back on the respawn, but they're going to lose some players before they return there as Ghosty Boy and Tranquility. Double supports taken down. Buddyless dropped out. Full spawn finds nothing. Kingsize taken down on the respawn. And again, just have to see that beat come out before the JQ goes down. At that point, the point was already lost, but end up committing that Lucio ult in anyways, as well as losing the point. So definitely a bit of unfortunate play decisions there by the side of West High, but is what it is. They now trail 2-0 on the map and the series here, as they will be magically finding out. They hide in a little corner there and now take the run straight onto them. Rampage goes down, doesn't find too much. Kingsize and Ghosty Boy, the two tagged by it, as they will try and continue this fight forward. Magically just backs up. Sea Serpent finds 2U. He does go down though on that Reaper. A nice hammer there by Kingsize for the kill, as the third point will open, and it will be an insta grab by the Kraken, as they've done a great job zoning it off.
Already, point will be taken. HHL going to be the one to secure it. A couple ults in the bank if necessary, as they're going to have that control right off the bat.
Trying. Ghosty Boy goes down here to the hammer, and again, it's just slaughter here. The Kraken have been in complete control of this map. They've looked great. Sea Serpent on Reaper, as you mentioned, has looked absolutely fantastic here, and it's just another fight win here. Definitely, I mean, they're both playing the same brawl comp, essentially. Obviously, a few minor differences. The Moira got swapped in. They've swapped over to the Venture here, but, I mean, it just definitely looks extremely clean here by the Kraken, and I'd be surprised if they end up losing this point.
Ultimates placed underway. Both TPS having that in the possibilities, and especially how we've seen Sea Serpent able to utilize it, finding those connections onto the multitude of players. It's been looking really nice for this point control already evaporating. Oh man, magically might fall down, and I'm not entirely sure what was kind of the point on that one, but Ghosty Boy able to pull so many crosshairs up towards the top of point. Now it's looking a little bit rough for the WTX Kraken, as they're ending off coming into this in a 3v4, and as it's just going to be everyone sent down to the graveyard as the kill feed lights up blue.
And yeah, the one unfortunate problem is this is the same storyline as the last point. They hold on for the whole time, a long delayed fight at the very end, get to the side of the Kraken up to 99%, get into that overtime, and then the flip comes through, this time much closer, as again we go to another pause here. I'm not too sure what it is. Hopefully these teams will put a little bit of effort in to try and make sure this doesn't happen again in future weeks, but for the moment, nothing to do other than have the player keep disconnecting and reconnecting whenever whatever issue is happening occurs. As again, we don't have all the information, just know that 2U having some connection problems or some type of problem that requires them to leave and rejoin the game. But again, your player's going to be sent back to spawn. They're going to lose their perks and they're going to lose their ultimate charge here, so definitely really unfortunate for the side of 2U here, who again going to be on that Tracer, so can get back quickly, but the Kraken have no remorse here. They are going to run it down in the 5v4 for the moment. Tracer almost back now. Kitsune Rush comes down, but Kingsize dead before it happens. Coalescence comes out, is able to take down the Genji. Beat does come down now from the side of Lava Tank. Ghosty Boy dead before he can find his Coalescence. Still going on for the moment, but now comes to its end. Tranquility gets taken down the Venture on the point here. Buddyless trying to find a buddy, but unfortunately he is in the grave. 2U hiding behind a wall here, just looking for the contest here. Last second, dash, recall will be able to go back in for the dash as the Lucio is here. Ghosty Boy goes down. 2U gonna have to dash back on, gets another contest, but no recall. He'll be dead to the Reaper here, as it will be the JQ getting on point. Does find Sharky here, a nice one tap, but not gonna have too much work to get going in the 1v4. Here comes the Moira and the Venture on the respawn. Death Blossom will shut them down, and it is going to be a clean sweep. Perfect day for the West Texas Kraken here. 2-0 Lijiang, 3-0 Kings Row, and 3-0 on Atlas. They win the day 8-0 on objectives and 3-0 on maps. Super clean game by them, as we'll see the play of the game go over to Sea Serpent here. Definitely maybe expecting it to just be this first Blossom, but we'll see.
That really is tragic, to say the least. Coming into this season really hot, and in week number 6, they're going to have a difficult loss. unfortunate, but the WTX Kraken cannot be taken lightly. You look towards these players, they're certainly going to be a favorite for that championship, and WTX Kraken, we'll see how much they're going to be able to make happen over in the VHEL. But that is going to be it from us here on stream. After a nice 3-0, going to give props up to the WTX Kraken, but that is it from us here on the stream. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you to our phenomenal producer, Edge, for making this work. And that is it from us. See y'all next time. Peace out.